My sister and I were finally rescued after being kidnapped for 3 days. My mother, a renowned surgeon, relocated every medical resource in the hospital just to give my terrified sister a full body checkup. She didn't care that I was having a fatal heart attack and needed immediate resuscitation. When I begged her to save me, she only screamed in my face, "Your sister almost had a heart attack from fear. Can't you be more mature? Stop making up these lies just for attention." In the end, I lay alone in a cold corner until my heart stopped beating. The pain in my chest was unbearable, as if a giant hand was tearing my entire body apart. The overhead lights were blindingly bright, and my mother's frantic face was the last thing I saw. Unfortunately, all her anxiety and worry were for my younger sister. I wasn't even worth a second glance. It had always been this way. The pain grew sharper, yet my soul felt lighter and lighter as I drifted away. When I opened my eyes again, I saw my mother's face. She was wearing her white lab coat, hovering nervously by my sister's hospital bed. My sister Tessa seemed to be having a nightmare, her pale face covered in a thin layer of cold sweat. Mother gently stroked Tessa's forehead, her eyes filled with heartache. "Sweetheart, please wake up. Mommy misses you so much." I felt a pang of hollow sadness. Mother had never shown me such tenderness. My father stood nearby, his face darkening with rage as he gritted his teeth. "This is all Avery's fault. She couldn't even protect her own sister. Just wait until I get my hands on her. She's useless compared to Tessa, a total waste of space. Avery is my name." Just like my name suggests, I was nothing more than an extra, a surplus in their lives. Listening to my parents express their disgust for me made that familiar ache spread through my chest. "Dad, Mom, I know you've always hated me. You won't have to worry about me anymore because I'm already dead. I'm just a wandering ghost who hasn't moved on yet." Mother. The chief of surgery personally conducted every test on Tessa. She pored over the reports until she was absolutely sure Tessa was fine before she finally let out a breath. The intern standing nearby finally spoke up in a weak voice. "Chief, what about the other patient who was brought in with her? She looks like she was in really bad shape." The tenderness on Mother's face vanished, replaced by instant irritation. "Why bother with her? Avery has been faking it for attention since she was a kid. I won't give her the satisfaction. Don't waste any medical resources on her." A chill ran through my spectral form from head to toe. I knew she loved my sister more, but I was still her daughter. I was her own flesh and blood, wasn't I, Mother? She pulled out her phone and dialed my number, but I had already stopped breathing in a cold, lonely corner that no one cared about. The nurse preparing my body for the morgue noticed the call and picked up. Before the nurse could say a word, Mother unleashed a torrent of angry questions. "Avery, where the hell are you? Don't think hiding will save you from this. You traumatized your sister. Get over here and apologize right now. Don't make me come find you." The young nurse tried to explain. "The patient has passed away. No one has claimed the body, so we're moving her to the morgue." Mother thought I was playing some sick game. She let out a mocking laugh. "Do you think hiring an actor to play a nurse will make me forgive you? Stop using such pathetic ways to get my attention." She slammed the phone down. Her face flushed with anger as she muttered about how immature I was. Tessa finally woke up, rubbing her eyes and sitting up with a dazed expression. "Mom, Dad, am I safe?" she whispered. Acting like a confused victim, she threw herself into their arms as if she had just escaped death itself. "Where's Avery? Is my sister okay?" she asked, feigning deep concern. I had to admit Tessa knew exactly how to play them. Seeing her like this made Mother even more sympathetic to her and more hateful toward me. "If Avery were even half as sensible as you, I wouldn't be this angry all the time," Dad chimed in, rolling his eyes in annoyance. "Don't even mention that ungrateful brat. She's probably out enjoying herself somewhere." A flash of triumph crossed Tessa's face for a split second before she resumed her act as the misunderstood victim. "Don't be mad at her. I think she's just upset because I won the piano competition. She didn't mean it." Listening to her lies, I could only watch in helpless, silent rage. I wanted to scream the truth at my parents. Tessa had planned the entire kidnapping herself just to get rid of me, but I knew they wouldn't believe me. In their eyes, Tessa was the perfect child and I was always the one in the wrong. As expected, when Mother saw Tessa's fake tears, her expression grew even colder toward me. "Tessa, why are you still defending that wicked girl? You're far too kind for your own good. If I had known, I never would have wasted money on piano lessons for that greedy liar. What a waste of resources. Tessa clung to Mother, looking like a small, protected animal. It was always like this. Whatever she said, they believed without question. Over the years, I had tried to tell them about the terrible things Tessa did to me, but they always brushed it off, accusing me of being jealous of her. I just grew tired and stopped talking altogether. While I was lost in my grief, a sudden gust of wind seemed to blow through the room. My brother Zane burst into the room, rushing straight to Tessa's side to check on her. Once he saw she was okay, he spat on the floor in disgust. Avery is such a piece of trash. She couldn't even protect her own sister. What's the point of her even being alive? Tessa waved her hands as if trying to deny his words. You're all misunderstanding her. Before I passed out, I heard her telling the kidnappers to take me too so she could protect me. Hearing this, everyone's blood began to boil. What did you say? Mother gasped, shaking with fury. That monster. Actually, Dad was trembling with rage. That girl, she tried to kill her own sister for her own selfish gain. When I find her, I'm going to break her legs. Zane clenched his fists until his knuckles cracked, a sound that made my ghost heart shiver. Tessa, seeing the extreme reaction, got scared that her lies might be exposed later and tried to backtrack. Wait, maybe I heard it wrong. I was so dizzy. Please don't be mean to her. She'd be so sad if she heard you. Besides, she's my big sister. I'm sure she wants what's best for me. Mother looked at her with pity. You're just too good, Tessa. You still care about family harmony even now. She's just a toxic person. Let's not talk about that unlucky girl anymore. Tessa, listen to me. Just rest here. We'll handle everything else. Tessa nodded obediently and closed her eyes with a sweet smile. The three of them looked at her with such pure love that it made my nose sting. I was standing right next to them. Yet I felt like a complete stranger. In that warm, cozy atmosphere, I felt a bone-chilling loneliness. I realized they probably wished I had never been born at all. Since Tessa was faking her illness, the tests obviously showed nothing. After a few days of observation, Mother personally handled her discharge papers. Dad called a private chauffeur to pick her up and Zane spent all morning waiting in line just to get her favorite pastries. I wasn't surprised. Their love for her was bottomless. On the way home, Zane mentioned me again. His brow furrowed in deep disgust. Dad, Avery is crossing the line. She hasn't even shown up to see Tessa. She caused this mess and now she's refusing to take any responsibility. Dad took a deep breath, his face grim. She's disgraceful. She doesn't deserve the sterling name. When she slinks back home, I'm going to teach her a lesson she'll never forget. His words felt like a knife in my heart. Mother had always hated me because my birth was difficult and triggered her postpartum depression. She thought I was a bad omen. When Tessa was born, I wasn't even allowed in the room. Because they didn't want my bad luck near her. As Tessa grew up, she treated me like a servant, demanding I play whatever game she wanted. Once during a family picnic, Tessa ignored my warnings and ran off to fly a kite. She tripped and scraped her forehead. It was a tiny scratch, but Dad didn't hesitate to slap me across the face, knocking me to the ground. I told you to watch her. You're useless. What do we even keep you around for? It was as if my only purpose in life was to serve Tessa, the center of their universe. There were so many moments like that. Once she wanted a doll that my parents had given me for my birthday years ago. It was one of the few things I actually cherished. Tessa decided she wanted it, so she made it look like I was bullying her. One second she was demanding the doll. The next she was wailing at the top of her lungs. Mother rushed in and scooped her up. Tessa, honey, what's wrong? Tessa squeezed out a few crocodile tears. I'm sorry, Mommy. It's my fault. I made Avery mad. Mother glared at me with pure hatred. Avery, you're always causing trouble. Tessa is so patient with you, and this is how you treat her. I think I've been too soft on you, Dad bellowed as he walked in. Before I could say a word, he grabbed a cane and beat me until my skin was bruised. The physical pain was nothing compared to the heartbreak. I begged him to stop, but I only got more insults. Meanwhile, Tessa sat in Mother's lap and gave me a wicked, innocent little smile. That was the moment I learned to just give in. And let her have everything. Tessa's few casual lies had already convicted me in their minds, even as a spirit. The phantom pain in my chest was very real. My soul followed them back to the house. As soon as they walked in, Mother began fussing over Tessa's bed. Lie down, sweetheart. You shouldn't overexert yourself. Tessa patted her stomach. I'm starving after that long drive. Dad immediately went to the kitchen to cook her favorite gourmet meal. Of course, baby, Daddy will make you a feast. Just wait a few minutes. Zane, knowing exactly what she wanted, set up her tablet so she could watch the most popular teen drama. They were a happy, bustling family and I was the ghost in the corner. Tessa looked toward my direction and smiled triumphantly. Suddenly, the doorbell rang. Zane ran to open it. A handsome young man in a white shirt stood there holding boxes of Tessa's favorite snacks. It was Morgan Shaw, my childhood sweetheart and the boy I was supposed to marry. Tessa's eyes lit up. She ran to him barefoot, acting shy and excited. Morgan, what are you doing here? Did my brother tell you I was sick? I'm fine now. You didn't have to worry. Morgan gave her a doting smile and ruffled her hair. The high school heartthrob, who was usually cold to everyone, was acting like a smitten puppy just to make her smile. He had never looked at me like that, not even once. Tessa pulled Morgan into the house by his arm. He looked around the living room and suddenly frowned. Where's Avery? Is she not home? At the mention of my name, Zane's smile vanished. That heartless brat, she's probably out partying somewhere to avoid being yelled at for hurting Tessa. Mother joined in, her voice sharp. I regret ever giving birth to her. If she doesn't want to come back, she can stay gone forever. Don't let her ruin your mood, Mrs. Sterling, Morgan said smoothly, like a perfect gentleman. Mother looked at him with appreciation. You're such a good boy, Morgan. You and Tessa make such a better pair. Don't waste your time on someone with Avery's character. Tessa is the one who's truly special. Tessa blushed and playfully nudged her mother. Mom, what are you saying? But her grin was wide and satisfied. Morgan laughed. You're right. Next time I see her, I'll end things properly. I won't let it be awkward for Tessa. The whole family nodded in approval. They threw a party that night to celebrate Tessa's recovery. In the middle of the laughter and music, I felt a void in my chest. I reached up to clutch my heart, only to remember I didn't have one anymore. Even though I was used to being the outsider, the sheer emptiness of it all was suffocating. The next morning, Mother woke up feeling restless. She tried calling my number again. The line just rang and rang until it went to voicemail. She lost her temper and sent a voice message on WeChat. Mother froze. For the first time since the kidnapping, the room fell completely silent. What did you say? The morgue attendant repeated patiently. This is the city hospital morgue. Avery Sterling passed away 3 days ago from cardiac arrest after arriving through the emergency department. We have attempted to contact the listed emergency contact several times. Since no family has claimed the remains, we're required to ask for authorization before proceeding with cremation. Mother laughed. It was the same cold, disbelieving laugh she'd used when the nurse first answered my phone. Enough. Tell Avery this joke isn't funny. There was a pause. Then the attendant's voice turned confused. This isn't a joke. We have her medical records, death certificate, fingerprints, and identification. Chief Sterling, weren't you the attending surgeon that day? The color drained from Mother's face. The phone slipped from her trembling fingers and hit the floor. Dad frowned. What happened? Mother's lips shook. They said. Her voice cracked. They said Avery is dead. The entire living room went silent. Even Tessa stopped pretending to sip her juice. Dad snorted. Impossible. Zane rolled his eyes. She found another actor. Only Morgan's expression changed. He slowly stood. Which hospital? Mother couldn't answer. Morgan picked up the phone from the floor. This is Morgan Shaw. Can you repeat what happened? The attendant explained everything again. The ambulance arrival. The emergency diagnosis. The repeated requests for immediate treatment. The cardiac arrest. The time of death. The fact that no family member had ever come. Morgan's fingers tightened around the phone until his knuckles turned white. I'll be there. He hung up. No. Mother whispered. No, that's impossible. I examined Tessa myself. Morgan looked directly into her eyes. But you never examined Avery. The sentence landed like a slap. An hour later. They rushed to the hospital. Ironically, it was the same hospital Mother had ruled for over 20 years. Doctors and nurses hurried past, avoiding eye contact. No one dared greet the famous Chief Sterling. They all knew. They had watched. Mother demanded, "Take me to my daughter." The morgue attendant quietly led them downstairs. The heavy metal doors opened. Cold air rushed out. Rows of covered bodies rested inside. I floated behind them silently. The attendant stopped. "She's here." He pulled back the white sheet. There I was. My face was pale. Blue bruises still marked my wrists from the ropes. The hospital bracelet remained around my arm. My chest was perfectly still. Mother staggered backward. "No." Dad stared blankly. Zane's mouth opened, but no sound came out. Morgan slowly knelt beside my body. His hand hovered over my cold face but never touched it. "I'm late." He whispered it so softly only I heard. "I'm sorry." For the first time in years. Someone apologized to me. My ghost almost cried. Mother suddenly lunged forward. "No." She grabbed my shoulders. My heart beat. She frantically pressed 2 fingers against my neck. "There has to be a pulse." The morgue attendant gently stopped her. "Chief Sterling. She's been gone for 72 hours. Mother shook harder. "No. I'm a surgeon. I can save her." She began chest compressions anyway. 1, 2, 3. She screamed between compressions. "Avery, breathe. Do you hear me? Breathe." The doctors standing nearby lowered their heads. They all remembered. 3 days ago. This same girl had begged for resuscitation. And Chief Sterling had walked away. Now. She desperately performed CPR on a body already cold with death. After several minutes, Mother collapsed beside the table. Her hands were stained with the cold moisture from my skin. She buried her face in them and let out a broken sob. It was the first time she had ever cried because of me. But it was also the first time it no longer mattered. Dad slowly looked at the death certificate. His eyes landed on the cause. Acute myocardial infarction. Delayed emergency treatment. Below that. Time treatment was requested. Time treatment was denied. Time of death. His legs gave out. He sat heavily on the floor. She wasn't lying. The words barely escaped his mouth. She told us. She was dying. Zane stumbled backward until he hit the wall. Images flashed through his mind. Calling me useless. Calling me trash. Saying there was no point in me being alive. His face twisted in horror. I told her. He covered his mouth and vomited onto the floor. Morgan remained silent. His gaze landed on my hand. There were crescent-shaped wounds in my palm. I had dug my own nails into my skin while fighting the pain. He looked toward Mother. His eyes were colder than winter. "She begged you. You were the best heart surgeon in this city. You saved thousands of strangers. But you let your own daughter die." No one could answer him. Just then, another doctor hurried in carrying a thick evidence folder. "Chief Sterling. We've completed the police investigation into the kidnapping." Mother looked up blankly. The doctor hesitated. There was security footage recovered from the abandoned warehouse. Tessa, who had quietly followed them into the morgue, suddenly turned pale. The doctor continued. "The footage confirms. Avery repeatedly shielded Tessa from the kidnappers. She was beaten several times trying to protect her." Mother's breathing stopped. "Anne." The doctor swallowed. "It also captured Tessa secretly communicating with one of the kidnappers before the incident." Everyone turned toward Tessa. She instinctively took a step back. "No. It wasn't like that." The doctor's final sentence echoed through the room. "The police have already arrested the kidnapper. He confessed. It was Tessa Sterling who paid him to stage the kidnapping." Silence. Absolute silence. Every lie, every accusation, every beating, every ounce of hatred they had poured onto me, collapsed in a single moment. And I simply stood there, watching. For the first time in my life. They finally knew the truth. Unfortunately, the only person who could no longer hear their apologies was me. Tessa's face turned ghostly white. "No." She forced out a shaky laugh. "The kidnapper is lying. He's trying to reduce his sentence." No one answered her. The doctor quietly handed the investigation file to Dad. His trembling hands opened it. Inside were bank transfer records, text messages, call logs, photos from surveillance cameras. Every page tightened the noose around Tessa's lies. The final page contained the kidnapper's signed confession. "Miss Tessa Sterling paid us to stage the kidnapping. She specifically instructed us to frighten her but to beat Avery if she resisted. We were also told to make Avery appear responsible if anything went wrong. Dad's hands shook so violently that the papers scattered across the morgue floor. Mother stared blankly at the photographs. One showed me shielding Tessa with my own body while one of the kidnappers swung a metal pipe. Another showed me desperately performing CPR on Tessa after she intentionally held her breath to appear unconscious. The final image showed me clutching my chest in agony, begging a paramedic to hurry because I couldn't breathe. Mother covered her mouth. She really protected her. Morgan picked up another photograph. My face was swollen. Blood ran down my forehead. Yet I was still trying to untie Tessa's ropes. His eyes turned red. I thought. He whispered. I thought you abandoned her. The morgue attendant quietly added. The ambulance crew also gave statements. They said Miss Avery begged them to save her sister first. She kept saying. The attendant looked down at his notes. Please save Tessa first. I'll be okay. Mother collapsed completely. No. No. I told her she was lying. I told her to stop pretending. Her cries echoed through the cold room. For the first time, every member of the Sterling family realized something horrifying. Until her final breath. I had still been protecting the people who never loved me. Dad slowly turned toward Tessa. His eyes no longer held affection. Only disbelief. You. His voice was terrifyingly calm. Tell me they're wrong. Tessa burst into tears. Dad, I was scared. I only wanted everyone to pay more attention to me. I didn't know Avery would die. I didn't mean for this to happen. That confession shattered whatever hope remained. Zane stared at his sister as though looking at a stranger. You admitted it. Tessa immediately realized her mistake. No. I didn't mean. You admitted it, Morgan repeated coldly. You planned everything. You framed Avery. You watched her take every beating for you. You let everyone believe she wanted you dead. Every shove. Every time he'd chosen Tessa without asking for the truth. His tears splashed onto the cold floor. I'm sorry, sis. I'm so sorry. For years, I had dreamed of hearing those words. Now they echoed through a room where only my lifeless body remained. I looked at them quietly. Oddly enough, I didn't feel happy. I didn't feel vindicated. I only felt tired. The hatred I had carried my entire life had disappeared with my heartbeat. All that remained was emptiness. At that moment, a gentle warmth spread through the morgue. A soft golden light appeared near the ceiling. The cold air became strangely comforting. The morgue attendant rubbed his arms. Did anyone else feel that? No one answered. They were too consumed by grief. I looked toward the light. Something inside me told me it was time. Before leaving, I glanced back one last time. Mother was clutching my cold hand, sobbing uncontrollably. Dad knelt beside her. Zane rested his forehead against the edge of the stretcher. Morgan silently slipped the engagement ring he had once intended for our future onto my finger. His tears finally fell. I loved you, he whispered. I just realized it far too late. The ring glittered faintly beneath the morgue lights. I smiled sadly. Then, for the first time in my life, I turned my back on them and walked toward the light. The day after my funeral, the Sterling family name began to collapse. At first, it was only whispers. Then the whispers became headlines. Renowned chief surgeon ignores dying daughter. Kidnapping investigation reveals years of family abuse. Hospital under investigation after emergency patient left untreated. The hospital released surveillance footage to investigators. It showed me being wheeled into the emergency department, clutching my chest, barely conscious. It showed the nurses begging for authorization to begin treatment. It showed my mother refusing without even looking at me. The footage spread across the country. No amount of public relations could erase it. Parents hugged their children a little tighter after watching. Doctors openly condemned what had happened. The medical board launched an emergency investigation. Within a week, Mother was suspended. Within a month, her medical license was revoked. The woman once praised as a miracle surgeon became known as the doctor who abandoned her own daughter. Patients cancelled appointments. Former colleagues refused to speak on her behalf. The awards lining her office walls were quietly taken down. Everything she had built over 30 years disappeared almost overnight. Dad's company suffered next. Business partners didn't want their brands associated with a man publicly accused of enabling years of child abuse. Contracts vanished. Investors withdrew. Banks demanded immediate repayment of outstanding loans. Within 6 months, the Sterling Group declared bankruptcy. The mansion that had once hosted extravagant parties was auctioned off. Every painting, every luxury car, every piece of jewelry, sold to pay debts. Dad watched strangers carry away the dining table where we had once eaten as a family. Only then did he remember. There had never actually been a place set for me. Zane resigned from his prestigious law firm. He couldn't stand hearing people whisper whenever he entered a courtroom, "There goes the brother who wished his sister was dead." He stopped answering friends, stopped shaving, stopped sleeping. Every night he replayed our last conversation. What's the point of her even being alive? The sentence haunted him until it became unbearable. He began volunteering at shelters for abused children, donating nearly everything he earned. When reporters asked why, he simply answered, "I owe someone a lifetime I can never repay." Morgan never married. He quietly ended every relationship before it began. Instead, he established the Avery Sterling Foundation, providing free legal and financial support for abused and neglected children. The foundation's slogan appeared on every building: "Believe the child who has no one else." Whenever people praised him, he only smiled sadly. "They're not my words. They're the lesson she died teaching me." Every year on my birthday, he brought white lilies to my grave. He always spoke for exactly 1 hour. No one knew what he said. As for Tessa, the police charged her with conspiracy to commit kidnapping, filing a false report, and obstruction of justice. Her tearful interviews convinced no one anymore. Evidence was overwhelming. The kidnapper testified against her. Digital records confirmed every payment. She was convicted. When the judge announced her sentence, she screamed that she hadn't meant for anyone to die. No one listened. The courtroom remained silent, just as I had once been. Mother attended every hearing, not to defend Tessa, to apologize. Each time she stood before the judge and admitted, "My older daughter was innocent. I failed her as a mother. I failed her as a doctor. I don't deserve forgiveness." Years later, the once famous Sterling family no longer existed. Mother rented a tiny apartment near the cemetery. Every morning before sunrise, she cleaned my gravestone herself. Rain or shine, spring or winter, she never missed a single day. She spoke to my photograph constantly. "Avery, I made your favorite soup today. I remembered you liked blue flowers. I saw a little girl who looked like you. I'm sorry." The replies never came. Dad often sat beside her. His hair had turned completely white. Sometimes they stayed there from morning until sunset without saying a word. There was nothing left to say. One evening, an elderly groundskeeper watched them leave. He sighed softly at the polished gravestone. Beneath my smiling photograph were the words Morgan had chosen. "Beloved daughter. Beloved sister. Gone too soon. Finally believed when it was too late." The old man shook his head. "Some graves," he murmured, "aren't filled with the dead. They are filled with the regrets of the living." And for the Sterling family, those regrets became a life sentence far harsher than any court could ever impose.